as the leaves turn brown. And we could be together.
It has been a dance party today. Maybe it's because of the American Idol tryouts happening right now over in Annapolis. But let's talk about Labor Day. Yesterday officially marked the end of our summer, and the changing season signals that it is a time for many of us to get back to business.
Right? All right, school is back in session, and both students and parents will need to leave the flip-flops and the beach bags behind in order to get back into more structured routine. Oh, I'm in trouble. Here with tips on how to focus after a long summer vacation is productivity and communication consultant Meico Whitlock from Mindful Techie. So welcome.
Thank you.
We're happy to see you,
Happy to see you.
And kind of get us back on track because we're still, summer loving here.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that, the weather has something to do with that, too, because it's still warm. Like, yesterday was a really nice day.
Very moderate.
Yeah.
So what's the bottom line? I mean, you got to switch gears, but you want to do it too harshly, right? Because, you become a screeching halt and then change everything up. I mean, in my house, I know it's about trying to get back into routine. I have little kids, and so in the summer, our routines kind of fall apart. Bedtimes get pushed back later, and we don't follow quite the rules, and it's really hard to all of a sudden say, okay, now you're back in your own room. You have to be in bed at this time. This is what you have to do. So how do you ease into that, I guess? What's the tips? You said there's a 7-step process?
7 steps that I coach people through. But the first step is really just having a clear vision of what does that look like. So just take some time to think about, what do I want my life to look like? And I sort of chunk it in quarters. So I say, over the next 90 days, what is work life going to look like for me at home and when I'm at work? So do I want to make time to take yoga? Do I want to make time to spend more time with my kids as they're getting back to school? Maybe your kid's going to play Little League or whatever that might be. Maybe you want to go for a promotion at work. Think about whatever that is and create a vision around that. And then you set priorities that match that. And that's going to help you figure out how you get through the next 90 days.
And, the next 90 days actually lead up to another, I guess, 120 that are going to be very busy because we're getting back to school right now. And like you said, you're getting into activities with your children.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, it's the holidays.
Yes.
It comes up one right after the other.
Yes.
So I think having those priorities set, like you said, for the kids, for what's happening in school, for you with what's happening in life, outside of school, is important. It is a lot to think about. One of your tips is to invest your time wisely. How are people?
Do people really do that? Come on, be honest.
Yeah, like how do you do that?
People really struggle with that. But but going back to the point about the vision and the priorities, if you look at your calendar, you say, okay, well, I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to be up for a promotion. I want to take a yoga class or whatever it is. When you look at your calendar, does your calendar actually match that? Like, are you actually spending time on things that you've committed to that aren't aligned with those priorities, that aren't aligned with that vision? So the first thing I told people was just look at your calendar. That's going to tell you where your priorities are.
But what about for somebody like me? Because I'm like, oh, I have 45 minutes right here. I can do this, this, and this. And in reality, that's on a perfect day when the sun, moon, and stars all come into alignment, and I am constantly pushing myself. To be and do whatever. You
only have so many hours in a day, and the way that I focus is I say, okay, well, these are the priorities I've identified. Is this activity that popped up that I have this 45 minutes to work on? Is this aligned with that? And then you have to say yes if it is aligned, and then you have to say no if it's not.
Okay, so learning a lot of us are yes people, right? We always want to make people happy, but you say no is key too. It's okay to say no because then sometimes you can make people say no.
You can make people happy sometimes by saying no. People would rather you say no and be okay with that rather than say yes and not be able to follow through on what you committed to.
But then I have FOMO, fear of missing out. Because people will say, hey, can you do this? And it's like I'm booked for 2 events on one day coming up, next month. And it's like one is supposed to be like 9 to 1 and the other one's like, 6 to 11 and I have like between 1 and 6 and it's like go home and change clothes and hair and makeup and then get back and I'm not going to be tired at all after that.
I think that's really real, but then you have to remind yourself about your vision. So at the end of that 90 days of the quarter, when you look back, what would you have accomplished? Like, what do you want to be proud of that you've actually accomplished? And so sometimes
that I was Superwoman and I got it done. But I understand what you're saying. Like if you're trying to bump up the next level in your career or you're trying to get that raise or something. Is that going to be feasible?
And you have to make a choice, right? So life is about trade-offs, and when you have a clear vision about where you want to go and you actually want to achieve that, you have to sometimes say no to things. And sometimes when you're saying no, maybe no, not right now. Maybe later, but not right now in this moment because you have a different priority.
So basically what you're trying to teach us is adulting, as the kids say nowadays. You're trying to teach us about adulting, and it's not easy.
I'm trying very hard.
But even if you don't succeed, if you fail, I mean, how do you keep yourself going? I guess that's the next thing, because maybe you set these priorities, you look at your calendar, you say by the X point or the X amount of days that this is going to happen. It doesn't happen. You get kind of down. How do you turn that frown around?
Yeah.
Well, having a support system, right?
Okay.
So you want to have a support system where you can share your goals and your priorities. You know, if you have a family, you know, sitting down at the dinner table, at the breakfast table with your partner or with your kids and saying, okay, guys, for the next 90 days, what are you guys working on? Here's what I'm thinking about. Can you help hold me accountable? And if something doesn't work out, those can be the folks that also support you through that disappointment and help you move on to the next item.
So, Meico, tell me about this class that you're teaching, because we only have you for a few moments, and we're kind of like falling short on what we want to do with you here. So the class, when is it and where is it?
So the class is online.
Okay.
People can go to my website, mindfultechie.com, to learn more about it. It's mastering the art of work-life balance in the digital world.
Okay.
And it's essentially walking through these 7 steps for, in our busy, hyper-connected world, how do you actually find balance? How do you actually set priorities? How do you actually stay a clear bridge? And how you actually stick to that?
And is part of the way of actually putting that technology down for a little bit, or locking it in the drawer?
Well, so you don't have to put it away, but necessarily having a vision, right? And so figuring out like what's the appropriate time to actually use that. So probably first thing in the morning, or as you're going to bed, probably not a good idea. But there are times when it's appropriate. You know, maybe during a break, or you know, if you are saying that you're going to use Facebook for a certain amount of time for entertainment, to catch up with people, watch cat videos, that's perfectly fine.
All right, Meico. Okay.
Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. This is helpful. You can head to your website, and we'll share it with us on our Let's Talk Live website as well. We'll have more LTL coming up right after the break.